Hi, my name is Lee Astridge. It was an absolute pleasure to be involved in the Dairy Women's Network team that brought you negotiating a fair contract with your eyes wide open in November 2014. I'm the principal consultant for Number 8 HR. Each year we get involved in finding dairy farming people the right and next career moves for them. Finding the right job is an exciting adventure. In an eyes wide open negotiating for a fair contract, we particularly focused on business to business relationships such as contract and share milking in order to try and help people get the right next career move. In this video, we're going to be looking at 4 steps to key success in those areas. Step 1 is seeking advice, making sure that we're using our networks and all of the information that's out there in the community to help us make the right decision. Step 2 is looking at your personal circumstances and deciding what is the right job for you. Step 3 is about finding the right opportunity, and step 4 is about asking you to be really realistic. Come along for the next couple of minutes, and if you've got your own personal story to share, then log on to the Dairy Women's Network blog. So you've decided to look for a contract milking or share milking role. Congratulations, this is a big step. Before you jump into it, make sure you take some advice from people around you. This is a business-to-business arrangement, and unlike an employed arrangement, it involves significantly more risk. And critical to deciding whether it's the right step for you is understanding what this risk is and the potential implications for you, your family, and what you ultimately want to achieve. Somebody's probably already said to you, you should be contract milking or you should look at share milking. Have another chat with them. Ask them why they thought that was a good move for you. But more importantly, go out into the community, find people who are already contract milking and share milking, and start discussions with them. Our dairy community is extremely helpful, and there are always people willing to share their stories. I particularly encourage you to look at people who used to be contract milking or used to be share milking and aren't now, because we can learn as much from the people who've changed their minds as we can from people who've made a success of it. The options that are in front of you are contract milking, share milking, which is not owning the cows, often referred to as lower order share milking, or herd owning share milking, often referred to as 50-50 share milking, but there can be other arrangements that sit around that. Also, as we move into new business arrangements and new and exciting times with dairying, we're seeing equity partnerships and other kinds of business arrangements that people are getting into and really enjoying the benefits of. So if you're looking for a business-to-business arrangement, I encourage you to go out, seek advice, talk to people. The more people you talk to, the better. There are a couple of really critical things here. First, you have to understand that running your own business means that you're invested 120%. Think about what that means for you and your family. Think about how you're going to make that work, get the most out of the opportunity, and still enjoy the goals that you have for yourselves as a family. Step 2, as importantly, run the numbers and then run the numbers again. When you're in business, you're responsible and ultimately accountable for the financial performance of your business. Run an optimistic budget. We all think that we're going to be able to take a farm and make it better than it currently is, and that's exactly what we should be thinking. But there are so many variables in farming that we have no control over. Climate, payout, to mention a couple. So run a slightly more pessimistic budget as well. You know, what's the worst case scenario that you can possibly think of on this farm? Take a look at what current production is, take a look at what current farm performance in other key areas is, and realistically think how much you might be able to tweak that. The banks and your accountant are going to want to help, which is fantastic, but never rely on them completely. It's up to you to understand any budget that you're running up in your business and any budget that you're committing to. So if you've got an accountant or the bank's helping you, fantastic, but you know it's your head on the block, it's your name against the loans, so make sure you completely understand what that budget means in terms of what you have to do. Also, and particularly relevant this year, we've got a very low payout and projections moving forward aren't that optimistic. So run a worst case scenario budget through too. This might mean that in the short term you make a loss. You may decide that that's okay, that that's something that's all right and tenable for your business. You might decide it's not. but it's always important to be really pessimistic and know what your total downside is. Finally, if the numbers don't add up, don't be afraid to walk away. It simply means that this year isn't the right year for you. Next year or in 2 years' time, they might be adding up and you'll find the right job. In the meantime, stay in an employed role, keep saving hard so that you're positioned well for that business-to-business opportunity. It's important to realise that there is seldom a match made in heaven, and whenever anyone's going through a recruitment process, they're putting their best foot forward. As a result, the more time you can spend with your prospective business partner, the better. Spend time with an interview, spend time looking around the farm, spend time talking to them on a personal level about what's important to them in their business. But don't stop there. Talk to the people who currently work with them. Talk to the people in the community. Find out what it is that makes them tick and how it's going to fit with your values and what you see as important. This is a business-to-business relationship, and it's really important that you undertake due diligence. This means understanding the farm system that your farm owner wants to operate and also how they want their asset to be maintained. This is going to be critical for them. From your perspective, you need to make sure that your values are aligned with them and that things like work ethic and approach to managing team are similar so that there is no conflict in these areas. At the end of the day, the closer you are in your thinking and your values, the better this relationship's going to be. Make sure that you can communicate, make sure that you understand each other and understand each other's priorities. Every year we hear contract milkers look at new opportunities and go, I can do better than the guy who's on here. And that's great. Be optimistic, but hey, also have a conversation with the guy who's on there and find out what his constraints have been. Find out why he hasn't got to where you think you can get to with that farm. And while you're there, ask him how it is to work with that farm owner. Make sure you know what the farm owner is and isn't prepared to do in terms of investing in the property and contributing to your contract milking or share milking arrangement. Every year we see contract and share milking arrangements get into trouble because things that both parties thought were clear in the contract negotiation phase turn out not to be. Make sure that you've now done everything that's important to you so that you know exactly what you can rely on and the farm owner equally knows what they can rely on in terms of their expectations of you. Finally, farming is more than a job, so make sure that where you're going to be living fits in with the lifestyle that you want and fits in with your family. Have fun, happy hunting, and really enjoy this exciting process of looking for a career that is right for you. Don't rush it, take your time and enjoy the ride.